Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our next installment of What's Up Humanities Alum. Today, we are thrilled to have Allison Linafelter with us. So, Allison,
Hi.
can you tell us what year you graduated from Morningside and what your degree was in?
I graduated from Morningside in 2018, and it took me a second there. I have a degree in English with a emphasis in creative writing, and then I also had minors in women's studies and legal studies.
Okay, great. And if I know, it sounds like that leads you directly to what you're doing today. So, what is your position currently? And then if you could just give us a little overview of how you got there.
Sure. Yeah. So right now I am an assistant appellate public defender for the state of Iowa. I work in Des Moines on criminal appeals through the public defender's office. I got there by going to law school. It's usually the first thing you do. Um,
Where
went
did you
right
go?
after. I went to the University of Iowa right after graduating from Morningside. So, right in 2019, I started, graduated there in 2021. And after I graduated, I had a 2 year, they're called clerkships, with a federal judge in Sioux City. As part of that, I was basically being a clerk is basically a ghostwriter for a judge. So you write all the opinions, and I also got to um, be the courtroom deputy.
Mhm.
So I was deputized. I could have put people under oath, but I never did. But I got to watch a lot of criminal trials and do a lot of legal research and writing. Um, and then after that, I spent a year at Iowa Legal Aid in Sioux City and then Des Moines, and just recently started as a criminal appellate defender about a month ago.
Excellent. So, are you already getting cases and going to
Oh,
court and
yeah.
all that? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
We're always overloaded if you go into the public interest legal field.
You know, that's something you always hear on the, lawyer shows, but you never know how true it is in real life, so I guess they're at least getting one
It's
thing
true. Yeah.
right. So what are your main duties as a public defender?
So I don't work at the trial level. I only get appointed after someone has been convicted.
Mm,
Obviously, if you get acquitted, then there's no reason for you to appeal. The state might appeal, um, but no one's going to get convicted after that because double jeopardy and all that fun stuff.
mhm,
So usually, I am representing convicted uh, persons in Iowa. Um, Basically reviewing all of the record at the trial level, whether it was a plea or a trial. There's some technicalities on what we can do with pleas, but that's not relevant to this. But
mhm.
essentially, once I get the cases, I look at all the record. It's all written or video exhibits. So there's a lot of reviewing other people's work and then building upon that to basically present legal arguments to the appellate courts in Iowa of why either the sentence was wrong or the conviction was wrong or there was evidence improperly admitted. Um, there could be a lot of other minuscule random legal issues, but those are the main ones that I've seen so far. I've only had
Sure.
2 cases and they've been motions to suppress evidence.
Hmm,
So yeah, a lot of Fourth Amendment and constitutional rights work as a appellate public defender.
great, great. So you studied English here at Morningside, among a couple other things. So how did studying English help prepare you for what you're doing now?
I think it definitely gave me a leg up in law school for sure. And then continuing that as well, especially as a clerk. When I worked for the judge, it's a lot of reading other attorneys' briefs and kind of dismissing any imposter syndrome I might have had
Mm,
going into it, of realizing that my work in the writing center with you and just all of the writing and editing that we had to do for 4 years really put me ahead of my peers in law school, especially on the research side of it as well, of being able to like pull quotes and establish like an argument. It really translates very well to doing that legal research and um, I guess analyzing language, which is
Mm.
pretty much what the law theoretically is.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you mentioned the writing center, and I'm biased since I run the writing center. But was there anything specifically about writing center work that you feel like is sort of helping you in the way you're working right now?
I think it just, I'm not sure if specifically writing center itself was helpful. I think just in the aggregate of working on editing, because I mainly obviously edit my own work now,
Mm,
but I
mhm,
think being able to develop those tools for how to like quickly and efficiently edit things and notice a lot of organizational issues. I have
mm,
learned the benefits of outlines,
mm.
absolutely, especially when you're creating legal arguments. You have to be, at least my philosophy, and it's worked so well so far, has been like as clear, concise, and organized as possible. The court doesn't have time to sit and listen to you quote Shakespeare at them. Um,
But what a different world it would be if we did
yeah.
have time for
Well, a
that,
lot of
right?
yeah, that's the legal trope is courts writing opinions that open with like random English major
Yep. Yep,
quotes
I've
that
seen that kinda
yeah.
stuff on social media and things like that. One thing that's always a question for me as a writing teacher that I am, just going to turn right back around on you as someone who's now sort of doing some writing for a living is, how has generative AI changed the way that you do your work, if at all?
So I don't know how into the legal news you are, but quite a few attorneys have gotten in big trouble for citing cases that don't exist because AI, generative AI, is a language model. It's just predictive text. Um, it's a scam if you ask me, but so I am militantly opposed generally, but they have rolled out some research tools that they're trying to get us to use. I don't know. I know it exists, but I am pretty much opposed after reading about cases that never actually existed. I really only trust myself, and even after being a clerk as well, you can't trust the other side either. You always have to double
Mm.
check everything. So at this point, it would just be more work to have it write something, and then I would just have to go double check anyways and probably change it all.
Well, you
Um,
heard it here, folks. Just do your own work.
it's so much, it feels like it wouldn't be easier, but it's way quicker just to do it yourself.
Interesting, interesting. Well, one thing we always like to ask people when we do this is, could you tell us a favorite story of being at Morningside? What's just something you look back
Oh,
on fondly?
I mean, I just loved every part of it. I was involved in way too many things. I loved being in choir. Coins, creative writing classes were probably the most fun. One of my proudest moments was making him cry. Um, all by because of my poem that he read.
Okay,
Not
okay, not
not like
because of how mean you
frustratingly.
were
No.
being. Yeah,
No,
okay.
I was just like, I did it. I made Coin cry with my poem. Um,
Nice.
I don't
Well,
know.
I'll
It
make
was a
sure to send him the link to this interview for sure. Yeah,
I only
yeah.
won second place for that one though, so I was mad.
Oh,
I
well,
wasn't mad. That was fine.
yeah, you know. It is what it is at this point. So, what is next for Allison Linafelter Esquire here? Are you hoping to continue being a public defender? Or I know you just started, so it might be
Mhm.
hard to think about what's next, but where's the ultimate goal with your career?
Going forward, I'll probably at some point have to argue before the Court of Appeals and the Iowa Supreme Court. So I'm nervous, but looking forward to doing that. Probably just gonna camp out at the appellate defender's office for a while, see how it works and how it fits me. And I'm really enjoying it so far. There's a lot of flexibility with being able to work remotely, um, and not a lot of other attorneys in private practice have to bill their hours. They're
Mm,
not just salaried, they have to, like, every part of your day is separated out into 10-minute increments,
mhm.
which is not enjoyable because I had to do that with legal aid, so I don't have to do that anymore.
There is nothing wrong with wanting a paycheck and insurance.
Yeah.
Those are things that it is okay to want.
I know. Yeah.
And just knowing you and having had you in class and working with you in the writing center, it's good to know that there's someone who, can do work on the level you can do it, who is working with the public defender's office. I think that,
Thank you. Thank
it's an
you.
important position, and, I think it's great that you're doing that, so that's wonderful. So let's say you were given an opportunity. In fact, this isn't hypothetical. I'm giving you the opportunity to give some advice for someone who's thinking about studying English. What would you say?
Mhm. I think if you ultimately want to go to law school, I think it's a great opportunity. Don't just go poli sci, consider English. Um, and then just generally, it's so important to learn how to communicate. I think so much of our world and our political system and every part of every person's life is affected and either benefited or made worse by the ability or inability to communicate effectively, quickly, and persuasively. Because I did take a speech class. I can't remember what it was called with you as well, but
Advanced public speaking. Yeah.
yes, yes. So being persuasive in your writing, I think is a huge benefit to everyone. And just generally, as well, learning about the world and different cultures and getting outside of the Midwest bubble by what am I trying to say? Getting out of the Midwest bubble by experiencing other things through literature
Great.
is,
That's awesome.
yeah, super beneficial.
Great. I was probably going to leave this for after I stopped recording, but I'm just curious now. What are you reading? Are you reading anything interesting right now?
Um, That is one thing about law school is it kind of breaks your brain with the amount of reading that you do. So
I've
it's
heard
been
that.
yeah, slowly but surely I've been trying to get back into reading. I just read The Wager by
David Grann.
David Gran.
Yes.
Loved that. I had read Killers of the Flower Moon before that. I think The Wager is probably even better. It went so quick, and I was just so impressed by the amount of work and research that it went into it. And he made it incredibly engaging. So
A
that's what I've
modern
most
master. I mean, he is
it
just such a good
yeah.
writer. Because you look at that book and it's
Hmm.
not little, and you said it went quick, right? I
Yeah,
haven't actually read it yet. My son
it's
has
really
read it,
good.
but yeah.
And half of like oh maybe a third of it is actually just footnotes.
Oh,
So it's
really?
not actually as long as it looks.
So that was probably a good transition from law school, where half of all the writing is footnotes
Mhm.
into a popular book that's a lot of
Yeah.
footnotes too.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Allison. We really appreciate you taking time today to talk to us, and that's what's going on with this Humanities alum. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye.